So, I am Zdenek Uherek. I am from the Institute of Sociological Studies at Prague. I deal with social anthropology, might be a little bit also sociology. My field is migrations and ethnic studies. I study, for instance, Romani culture. Also, what I teach is urban anthropology. Sometimes I'm teaching and my colleagues outside the university, it is teaching sometimes in secondary school, but not primarily. We teach also professionals in some other branches, for instance policemen, because when I deal with migrations, so it means that we also make familiar with our approaches, for instance policemen or people that are from NGOs. It means that it is very often something different than to teach in university, because if you teach in university you have very often one semester to say something in some topic. Here it is very often for 1 hour and or 2 hours or some block, for instance 8 hours. So it means it is complicated to structure it this way, how to say the people what is the core problem and so on. So it is something different, and very often if you are for instance teaching people that are officers somewhere, you do not know what type of people you have in front of you, and you also do not know what is their knowledge. So it means it takes some time to start to communicate, and very often sometimes could appear a situation that you will finish, and then you acknowledge that the people did not catch the core of the problem. So it is in university very rarely appear. For instance, if we are teaching in Charles University, we teach several courses that are going step by step. So it means that you know the students very well after 1 week and then 1 semester and so on. In my country, so it means in Czech Republic, there is the social anthropology, quite a young discipline, and so it means that it is not as a part of regular curriculum. In regular curriculum in secondary schools are, for instance, some basic knowledge of sociology, psychology, and of course history. History is teaching because the Czech Republic is focused on history, and very often the teachers think that it might be more important to know something from past than from present. So it means that history is taught from the 4th or 5th class of the primary school, but anthropology and sociology, it is only occasional matter. And this discipline is more or less marginalized in the Czech Republic. So it means there is only few also working places where the social anthropology is taught in universities. So it means also also the teachers in secondary schools are not professionalized in social anthropology. They are specialized, for instance, in history, in physics, in mathematics, and so on. But they do not have also in pedagogical faculties a good training of social anthropology. So it is also reason why they are not able to teach it in secondary school. But on the other hand, I should say that sometimes we are invited to say something students about social anthropology, and also we search for possibilities to say something about it. As I told, it is very often a matter of sociology. If you are going to libraries, and I think it is all over the world, if you are going to libraries, you can see that, for instance, ethnicity is very often ranked to sociology. So it means this theme you mentioned is also in Prague, in Charles University, taught as a part of anthropology. But it belongs to sociology as well as anthropology. So it is also fine that sociology can a little bit substitute anthropology in these topics in the secondary schools. But on the other hand, where is a problem? If you are trained in migrations, religious study, and so on, as a sociologist, you also, if you are going to university, you very often choose sociology, not anthropology, to continue. So you mean if in secondary schools are also taught something such as things like prejudices and so on. Yes. So I think not. I think it is quite fair. In Bohemia. But on the other hand, you could see in newspapers and so on that the Czech Republic is not very warm to, for instance, migrations. And it is not, by my opinion, from school, but it is from the political environment, because some political parties are focused this way. And also it is the question of family. Because it is a generational affair. For instance, the elder generation in the Czech Republic is focused very suspiciously to Germans. The younger generation, it is something different. So it means it is the matter of family more than the matter of school. In school, it is quite. As I know, it is quite very information that the people receive, but they do not. They are not taught very much about it. As I told, they know more about history, or more. They are trained in it. Then, for instance, from the political culture or from the current situation. And what is also true, that in the Central Europe, the children and the teaching curricula are very strongly connected with the Central Europe. So it means these children know very little about the world outside Europe, and if so, they have old information. In universities, for instance, in anthropology, every anthropological department or division have some a bit different curriculum. It depends on specialization of teachers. And very often they are teachers that also teach something like gender studies. In anthropology it is very often, but I am not sure if it is really everywhere. So it means if somewhere are not specialists. For instance, in my department there is something, yes, in basic courses we should say something about feminist anthropology and so on and so forth, but there is not any person who is specialized to this theme. We have, for instance, courses or very good courses of folk healing or folk medicine, religious studies and so on. And if you would like to study, for instance, feminist anthropology, it would be better to go to, for instance, University of Pardubice. Yes, if I could communicate with the secondary schools, yes, they were very often asked, and it is also my question because I teach migrations. We were very often asked to say to teachers something about migrations and current situation. So it is quite frequently asked. What is very often taught in university is now the question of minority Romani studies, for instance, because in the Czech Republic is a huge Roma minority. Also, migrations is quite frequent. Now is very popular medicine, ethnomedicine or anthropology of medicine. So these migration studies developed after the Second World War because a lot of people came to the Czech Republic because there changed inhabitants. There was a lot of German people that were expelled from the Czech Republic after the Second World War, so there was a gap that was fulfilled by migration. And these people are very often compatriots, but also people from Greece. Now they are frequently migrated to the Czech Republic, people from Ukraine, from the former Soviet Union, generally. Also people from Vietnam. There is such a Vietnamese-Czech bridge that was created just in 1960s, and people also from the Balkans, so it means Serbs, Croats, and so on. So these people very often from Eastern Europe. So every space or every country in Europe have some specific migration system, and in the Czech Republic it is such as East Central European exchange. I think there is definitely progress because it is quite new theme. This is a theme that is now penetrating to the secondary schools. And what is also might be interesting that this theme before 1989, so it means before the Velvet Revolution and change of social situation in the Czech Republic, was very strongly joined with history. Now it is more with sociology, social psychology, and so on, and it is also visible. And in fact, in the Czech Republic there is not very much children. There is such as demographical decrease. And if I compare, for instance, situation in sociology and anthropology, we can say now at the Institute of Sociological Studies that more people inclined to study social anthropology than sociology. So it means, I think it is really progress, and it means that also these people or these students should know something about anthropology from the secondary education.